The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
We're recording.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 15-Point Plan podcast with your hosts, Ryan Greigg, and my partner, Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline, what is happening?
Well, I'm excited. We're kicking off season 4 of the 15-Point Plan. It's the new year. Everything's great. I'm excited.
That's right. Season 4, 15-Point Plan, as you may have heard over the last couple episodes, we kind of said goodbye to Chad and Jacqueline, and Jacqueline and I took this over. We took it over. They asked us, and we couldn't be more honored to be on this health and wellness journey with you all, our 15-Point Plan community. And so we're going to get into the 15-Point Plan today in detail. We're going to go right through each one of those points. But before we do that, we want to remind everybody that there's a ton of resources online through the Win, Make, Give network. So we'd like to encourage you, if you haven't already been there, go to winmakegive.com and, of course, 15pointplan.com. And you can actually find the 15-Point Plan with a print-out version that you can print. You can post on your wall like Jacqueline and I have. And on the back side of that, there's actually what's called the 15-Point Plan tracker. And the cool thing about that is you get to kind of keep your score as you're going along with the 15-Point Plan. And you get to shoot for those full 15 points each day and really track that, because we know if you're not tracking, you're slacking, Jacqueline. And the more we can track, the more we can stay accountable to ourselves, the more likely all of these things are to happen, right?
Absolutely.
So let's just jump into it, Jacqueline. It's January. We know a lot of people have created goals for the new year. And hopefully they have goals that are going to help them be the best version of themselves, because we know that's one of our goals here on this podcast, is to simply have a plan and a system so that we can be the best version of ourselves in our health, in our wellness, in our relationships, and of course, in our business. So let's get through each one of these 15 points, Jacqueline. And the first one on there is goals, making sure that we've got them, making sure that we have them written down and that they're visual and that we can see them probably every single day, right? And around the end of the year, a lot of time we'll create those vision boards. And on those vision boards will be all those things that we want to see ourselves become. So point number 1 is goals, making sure we've got them and they're clearly visible for us to see, right? Jacqueline, what's the second point?
Second point is movement. So movement means, something different to everyone. I think if you're, Ryan Greigg, or if you're a Chad Himes or a Jacqueline, like you're really hitting it hard on the workouts, but movement can just be a walk. I mean, it's something every day to move your body and elevate your heart rate to get those endorphins pumping through our body. We, feel better when we get that movement in, and you could track steps, you can track your time, whatever it is for you, just get your body moving, get your blood pumping, get your endorphins going.
That's it. And like you said, Jacqueline, I think it's really important as we go on this journey that movement can be different for everybody. And I think the goal, like you said, getting our heart rate up, getting our blood flowing. The next one on the 15-Point Plan is hydration. And we know, of course, our bodies are mostly made of water, so we have to stay hydrated. And we're going to talk about best practices for staying hydrated, and not just with the water, right? Not just with the water, but what are we adding to that water? How much water? And all the different ways that we can make sure to stay hydrated.
Yeah. Next one is sleep. Sleep is one of the most important building blocks to great health and energy. So again, these are personalized to you. So as you're, learning the 15-Point Plan or on the journey, you'll decide, what does that mean for you? For me, I got to get my 7 hours. I'm not an 8 hour. I'm not a good, 5 or 6 hours like I used to be in my 20s, but 7 hours is good for me. I feel good on that. So figure out what it is for you. And we'll dive into sleep on a future episode and the importance of good sleep. Ryan, what's next?
Yeah, that's right. Next, Jacqueline, is nutrition. And this one's going to be debatable, especially because I just came off of a fast, because we know that not eating could actually make you grumpy. And if you're not getting the right nutrition, your body's just not going to perform at the highest level. So we know that our nutrition is important, not only what we're eating, but how much we're eating. But like I said, after just coming off of a 4-day fast, I think there's some benefits in that. So we'll talk about that as well. But nutrition is certainly one of the points, as is the next one, Jacqueline. Supplements. Talk to us about supplements.
I mean, supplements, again, you have to figure out, what your body needs. I think depending on your age, your activity levels, your lifestyle, that's different for everyone. Again, but knowing, what you need and then making sure that you take your supplements every day. This one for me, Ryan, was one of the things that I don't know why I really struggled with it. Like I'd always buy supplements, but then they would sit in my cabinet and expire. I would never use them for longer than the first week that I got them. So using the 15-point plan, I will say, has helped me be consistent with my supplements more than ever in my life. So it's been good.
Same,
What's next?
same. Yeah, same, Jacqueline. Supplements were one with me. And I think that one thing that's super helpful in regards to supplements or other items on here that are a challenge for us is to find out how we can habit stack. What's something that we do already that we can stack on something that we don't do already so that we remember them even more. And that was one thing that worked for me with supplements. So we'll share that as we dive into the supplement section. Next, of course, is influences, Jacqueline. And we know that our nutrition and our supplements and what we put into our body for fuel is incredibly important. But what we put into our body for fuel for our mind and brain could arguably be even more important. So we got to be mindful of really what we're paying attention to. And we just got to cut out all the negativity. There's just no time for negative energy in our life. So keeping that out as much as possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Next one is journaling, making a habit of writing down and reflecting on what happened each day, every morning or night. It's so important. And it's really, really, really one of the, I'd say, foundational habits that contribute to an increase in emotional intelligence, which has been linked to, higher levels of success. So I know journaling is so powerful. I like using the Growth Day app. That's Brandon Burchard's app. And there's a journaling function right in the app. And there's some prompts in there. So I just fill that out. I also like to write down my goals as part of my journaling every day. So it's what works for you. I'm a morning journaler. I don't typically journal at night, but we're going to talk about different ways to journal, different, frameworks for journaling, and really dive into why journaling is so powerful in a future episode.
That's right. And we have a couple of really cool formats as possible options for you to follow in regards to journaling. I know one of the biggest things that we hear is we don't know how to journal. And so we'll give you a couple frameworks that will make it easier for you to follow. And if one of those work for you and help you get journaling into a more regular process, great. If you already have a process, that's great as well, whatever works for you. And just like with mindfulness, the next one, Jacqueline, we got to make sure that we're taking time daily, really, for maybe that's a prayer, maybe it's a meditation, but ultimately just to center ourselves both mentally and spiritually. And it's something that I've really grown to love and appreciate. So I'm incredibly excited to share some of the tips and tools for mindfulness, specifically with meditation, which I've talked about in past episodes on the podcast, but I'm really excited to dive deep onto this section of mindfulness.
Yeah. And then gratitude is a big one. You cannot be grateful and angry at the same time. So practicing gratitude daily is so important. I actually just saw a meme this morning on Instagram, and it said, repetitive complaining will attract more things for you to complain about, and repeated gratitude will attract for you more things to be thankful about. And I really think that's true. I think what we focus on expands. And so if you can train your mind and really have a practice of, being tuned into the good things in your life, it's really, really powerful.
That's right. That's right. Just more positive energy in our life. And I think when we do this next point, laughing, that can always bring our state of our attitude up. It can raise just how we're feeling. And it'll probably put us into a place of gratitude because we're laughing, because we're doing something that is just going to put us into a good mood. It will change our entire mood. So making sure that we're getting some laughter in every day is another one of the 15 points.
Yeah. One of my good friends in Florida, his name's Pedro. He did a challenge with me with the 15-point plan for 30 days. And he told me that one of his hobbies, he's a big Seinfeld fan. And so one of his hobbies is stand-up comedy. And so, when he would have a little break in the day, he would pop on some, YouTube, some Seinfeld stand-up comedy. And so he got double points there because he counted that as one of his hobbies. And then it made him laugh. So I started doing that, just listening to some stand-up comedy and laughing. It totally changes your mood and your state. Especially when you do, in real estate, we deal with a lot of emotions and serious, stressful things. And so it's good to just kind of take a break and mental break and laugh. The next one, Ryan, is learn, and just making a goal to learn something new every day. I love reading and listening to podcasts. Again, I'm a huge fan of the Growth Day app. It's just kind of like my all-in-one. So every morning I listen to, it's called Daily Fire. Just learn something new every single day. Right now I'm taking my private pilot's license. So that has been a ton of learning, just watching videos, reading, learning to fly an airplane through the sky. It's quite the feat. So it's been fun.
That's a pretty cool new skill that you're working on there, Jacqueline. I didn't know that. So that can be a hobby, that can be learning. There's probably a little laughing going in there. Might be a little prayer going in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Got to take some time every day to learn something new, whether it's a podcast or listening to somebody speak or Audible or even just picking up a book. I have 4 or 5 books that sit by my bed. I kind of cycle through 2 or 3 at a time. I like to read a little bit every night so that I'm putting something good into my brain before I fall asleep. And then, like we've talked about, our hobbies. In addition to gratitude and laughter and learning something new, what's something that we just enjoy doing? And I think a lot of high performers struggle with this one, Jacqueline. They think that they got to work all the time and that they always have to be busy and that their time can come when everything else is done. And what we're going to talk about is how hobbies play such an important role in keeping our brain moving, keeping us happy, keeping us balanced.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if you love what you do, a lot of people try to count their work as their hobby, but you need that mental break and you need that inspiration from something that's not work related. I think it really adds a lot to our lives when we can make time for that. And then serving too. A lot of people, you might do this naturally and you don't even know. Maybe it's not always, the volunteer days or the big, yearly volunteer initiatives that you might do, or like we're doing a huge, coat drive that we do every year. So that sort of thing. It can be as simple as being available to a friend in need or, helping your neighbor. It can be simple things that you don't realize. Right? Like I have eggs because I have chickens. So it might be me, going over to my neighbor and offering them some eggs. Little things that you can do easily every day to just serve others. When you take the attention off ourselves, just does something, for our mind and our well-being when we can serve other people. So
that's right. Yeah, 100%. Giving back, serving, and just doing kind acts to people, right?
Yeah.
It makes us feel good. And it's another way to check off one more point on the plan. And then lastly, Jacqueline, is time, making sure that we're really protecting our time, that we've got our alone time, that we've got our daily social time to interact with people, and that we've got our time protected overall so that we can get things done in the best way possible. We can have time for ourselves. We can have time for our loved ones. And we're just protecting that time, whether that's with our time blocks, whether that's by using our calendar, and making sure that we're really purposeful, I think would be the word that I like to think of with each moment of our day. So that would be each one of the 15 points. Again, you can go to 15pointplan.com and you can print one of these out, or you can save it on your desktop on your computer so you can look at those, so you can have them, like we talked about with goals, right, visible in your office or at your home. And then, of course, you have a 15-point plan tracker that's on there. And I tell you, Jacqueline, whether it's with the 15-point plan tracker or me on my Duolingo trying to learn French or showing up every day for lead generation, once we get a couple days going and we get 3 days going and we get 10 days going, you really don't want to break that streak. You mentioned Seinfeld, and Seinfeld would write every single day. And he said, you don't want to break the chain. You just don't want to break the chain. And if you have that visual tracker and you got 10 days in a row, I guarantee you're going to want to hit that number 11 and not break the chain.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went really fast today. everyone, because we are committed. Ryan and I talked about it. We want to make sure that we keep these episodes to as close to 15 minutes as we can. So it's just like a bite-sized chunk for you every week. You can go all the way back to season 1 of the 15-Point Plan podcast to listen to Chad Himes and Jacqueline Snell as they go through each of the 15-Point Plan points with you in detail. Ryan and I are going to do the same thing and share different ways that you can customize it to really fit your lifestyle and where you are at and where you want to go. So we are going to dive more into it. We wanted to give you a quick overview today, just in case there are listeners who weren't familiar at all with the 15-Point Plan, but stay tuned for more details on each of the 15 points and how you can use them to increase your energy each and every day. We're going to say goodbye for today, but stay tuned next week and the week after. We're going to have interviews with Ryan and I. We're going to share our journey with the 15-Point Plan. And we look forward to connecting with you on future episodes and on social media. Anything to close out, Ryan?
I think you touched on everything for now, Jacqueline. That was a quick summary of the 15-Point Plan. Go back and listen to some of the previous episodes because Chad and Jacqueline have laid a great foundation for it. We're going to dive into our style and just keep expanding on each one of these points throughout this next year. And like Jacqueline said, tune in because next week you're going to hear all about Jacqueline's life. You're going to hear a story about Jacqueline, how she's gotten into the 15-Point Plan. And like I mentioned, I think on the last episode, how she has become such an inspiration to myself and so many of our business partners. So we look forward to an interview with Jacqueline next week. And then we'll hear from me and a little bit of my story the following week. But thank you again for tuning in. Of course, check us on Instagram, check us online, all outlets, winmakegive.com, 15pointplan.com. And until next time, Jacqueline Smith, Ryan Greigg, we were signing off. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Hi, Chad Himes here, and I want to let you know about my podcast, Achieve Your Apex, on the Win, Make, Give podcast network. If you're ready to unlock your full potential, then Achieve Your Apex is right for you. Join me as we go on a journey to becoming your best self. Using my best-selling book as our guide, I'll share practical tips, inspiring stories, and fantastic interviews so you can achieve your apex. Whether it's personal development, career success, or mastering your mindset, we've got you covered. Subscribe now to Achieve Your Apex wherever you get your podcasts and start your transformation today.